Two, one. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Today, of course, with my brother Daniel Montiel and a very special guest, Jay Kinder. Jay, thank you very much for taking the time. I know you're a very not only busy man, but extremely successful, right, real estate professional.
So yeah, that may be a stretch, but yeah.
It's not, man. It's not. When you're making that kind of money, when you have so many people under your coaching, okay, because you have the same background we have, you
right.
coach many top agents and teams around the nation. So
right.
when people entrust you with their business, says that a lot about you. So if you can give us a little bit of your background, where you came from. I know you're in Texas, people you coach, etc.
Yes. So, born and raised in Oklahoma, small town. I always jokingly tell people I graduated in the top 25 of my class, but there was only 36 of us. And so real small town, right? And ended up the small town, a lot in Oklahoma, building a real estate, team. My dad was the broker. I remember seeing a guy, he had a check for like $5,000, and I was mowing my dad's rental property at the time. And he didn't look like he broke a sweat that day. And I said, what did he do today? He said, well, he sold this house over such and such. I was like, I think I could probably do that. He didn't look like he had done much. Right. So, I got kind of interested in it. And I grew up around real estate, and I wasn't interested in it at all because, all I remember is my dad was always in a bad mood when it was time to go on vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to leave your business, he was always in a bad mood because, it's hard to get away. Yeah. And it's like, shoot, I don't want to do that. He doesn't, that doesn't seem like, he's always, late nights coming home, stuff like that. And so like, I wasn't that interested in it until I saw that there was opportunity. And then at that point I wanted to do it. And then I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was 19 years old, licensed, trying to figure it out, tried a bunch of stuff that didn't work. Eventually, started making a few sales and, did okay. I think I did 20 something transactions, but, I think I spent more money than I made, trying to figure that out, and ultimately built that up within a few years up to 530 plus transactions. I was number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker for a number of years.
I didn't know that, man.
So it was cranking out the deals, man. It was pretty crazy. And the best part of that story is it was a small town.
Wow.
Well, this is the funny part of that story is I was number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker, but I was also number 2 even in my own market. So there was a Remax team that was selling 700 homes a year in my backyard, and I competed against them every day. I mean, I feel like that's the only person I ever competed against, and they were good because they were spending more money than me. They had, anything I could have said, they could have said, right? So and that made it. I had to really learn how to sell. I had to learn how to market. I had to learn how to sell. And I think I had 14% market share and they had like 17 or 18% market share, something crazy like that. Like we were two giants is dominating a marketplace, but competing every day. And so it just made me better, right? Like I had to really hone my skills, really get clear. I learned everything that they would tell people, and I learned how to negate that with how we did business. And it was fun, man. It was fun, to grow up in a competitive, kind of a competitive business, with one, kind of person that I had as my, but I'll tell you this, I went back to Lawton for the 4th of July and they were still doing open houses on Sundays. And that's when I said, you know what, I think I won in the end.
All right.
Cause I ain't doing open houses. I ain't working no more. But yeah, so yeah, that's, kind of long story short that, we got into coaching and training. I had a good friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, Mike Reese, and he saw me at the lake and was like, I had a big boat, I had a big fountain. I'm a go fast boat fanatic. And so grew up around that kind of stuff. And so he's like, dude, is that your dad's boat? I was like, nope, that's my boat. He said, what do you do? I said, I sell real estate. And that was the end of the day. For that, we talked real estate all day. Mike quits his job, gets into real estate. But I would have never known what to tell someone to do to be successful because, when you think about your path to success, like looking back, it was like, I don't know how the hell I got up here. But I mean, it was, a lot of this, a lot of that, a bunch of stuff didn't work, you know what I'm saying, along the way. And eventually, you start to have success, but there's like for every 5 things that don't work, one thing works. And so, but Mike was starting from scratch. So like before he even had his license, he had the same exact website as me and he was already lead generating. Right. So like, he did the right things in the right order. He hit the ground running, and he built his business to $1 million. His third year, he did like 1.2 million GCI.
Okay.
And we were both like, holy crap, that was amazing. Like, I mean, like he like skipped all the mistakes I made, but he, again, I kind of helped him along the way. I mean, he called me every day, and he's a smart guy, and he's a doer. Like, nobody's, like he's going to do more than the average bear is going to do probably. But I mean, for the most part, we felt like if two knuckleheads from Lawton, Oklahoma could do it, we could probably help anybody do it. And so we got real passionate about helping other people. And our goal was just to get to the water, right? Like we just wanted to have more time off so we could do the things we love, and ultimately spending time with family and being on the water was our thing. And so, that was our vision.
Recruiting revenue, right? All the
That's
time.
right. That's
the beauty of it, right?
Yeah. That is the, you want to talk about total time freedom. We'll get there, because that's
there you go.
I've never experienced this kind of time freedom in my life. I mean, I feel like I think a lot of people would look backwards and say, you've been massively successful, but I could go back in all of those times and tell you, yeah, but I got up at 4:30 every day, and I was putting in, 14-hour days, or the pressure was always still on, and you go on vacation, but you're thinking about that meeting next Monday, because you got to hit it out of the park here, because that could be the difference in being, plus or minus for the month. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's, we built the coaching and training company up to be in, we did about 8 million in revenues, not a whole lot, but it was pretty significant for us. And then we were 8 years on the Inc. fastest growing companies in coaching and training. I had a company that did radio and television for real estate agents. So Barbara Corcoran endorsements, Sean, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, local radio personalities, ESPN, and we would do celebrity endorsements with agents. And that was one of the things that worked really well for me in my market. It wasn't celebrity endorsements, but it was like the local radio show that had a lot of people that listen, right? Like, there's 55,000 listeners on this one station. We would run a spot at 7:50 a.m. and it would be a first in rotation. Sounds like a live read, but there was 15,000 people that were always listening. So I became, to those 15,000 people, a part of their morning ritual. And it didn't take long. It took about 20, it was about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I started getting inbound people calling me to list their house. And that was where my business shifted to a really attracting business versus chasing business.
There you go.
And so that was kind of what we taught a lot of, we get people to a certain level, and you get around 100 deals. Now you need to start looking at, becoming the dominant person in an area, whether it's a niche or it's whatever, a city, whatever, right?
Look at the transaction, your transition, right? You go from being an agent to a top agent. Then you understand the value, not only of making money, but the value of time freedom, right? So you transition into coaching, which gives you more freedom, recurring revenue. And then you said, I'll talk about real freedom. And then you go to the highest level with no investment and no overhead, which is exactly what we're here today, right? Which is eXp and the model, right?
Right. So let me give you because I'm giving you the peaks, but I'm not giving you the valleys. Okay. Right. So we thought we were really smart. Well, residual, I mean, people are paying us monthly. Like at first we started at 500, and then we kept ratcheting it up until we got to about 14 or 1,500 bucks a month. And it was great, like the first 2 or 3 years, because there's not much attrition, right? People that come in and they're getting value, they stay generally for two years is pretty much. And then we got to a point where our price point got us to about, it was about 18 months. Mm-hmm. And so, but it was the same money. We're making the same money. So it was just, depending, we were really filling out that model, but until you get into year 2, you don't have a normalized attrition, meaning, you're not going to, your second month, you're not going to lose 11% of your coaching clients, but you do in your 24th month. And so it got to a point, right. We got to a point where we had to sell 25 coaching clients because we knew we were going to lose 25, and there's nothing you can do about that. The attrition is what it is. You can do do whatever you want to do, add a lower level, add another this or that. But we had reached the cap or the lid in that residual business model. Had no idea that this was going to happen, really. And so now you start trying to sell more, right? And so you increase the efforts in marketing and sales to try to sell 40 because you're trying to grow. You ain't trying to stay where you're at. And then you clients that you shouldn't have sold, your coaches are like, who the hell sold this one? Like it starts to become it starts to become the same thing I dealt with in real estate, which was I sold 50 homes this month, but on the first of the month I got to do it again. And so like I remember like one of the worst, hardest months, best months we ever had.
Yeah, I sold 50 homes and that's amazing, great income, but I have to do it again.
It started over on the first, and you can say what you want, like, oh, you must be making so much money. I said, yeah, until the winter time when the sales are half of what they normally are, and you've got the same overhead that you had in the summertime, and you may have been killing it in the summer, but like I was jokingly telling people, like this COVID thing, man, I had that every winter, right? Like it was
Exactly.
it was struggle to get through it, kind of thing. And so like I hated the winter, man. We come into the winter and just be like, all right. Bite down on the mouthpiece and see if we can make these months at least make a break even or a little bit of money so we don't go backwards. And, so that, that grind was just, that was what got me to looking at, the passion is what got me to looking at coaching, but the model seemed better. Right. And then I realized, well, it's no different. The residual model is not even any better than what we were doing. It became the same. And so we've been fascinated with business models. We've always been trying to figure out like, what's the, what is there out of all the ways, what's the best way, right? And so we parlayed into technology. A lot of people don't know this, but we were a big part of Commissions Inc.'s success early on when they came to us with 30 days left of cash because somebody told them to call us because they knew we could help sell, because we had coaching clients and we wouldn't just tell them, go buy this technology. We'd be like, you're not ready, don't buy it yet. Okay, now based on the strategy where we're at, you need this technology. Now let's get it and put it in place and help them implement it. So we brought a good customer to the table. And we sold like 72 when they were, Dwayne called us one day and said, stop selling it because they couldn't onboard them as fast as we were selling them. And so we helped a lot of these technologies. And then we saw Dwayne sell, we took a bite of the apple at that one, 50 million valuation. And then he goes on to sell for 250, right? So we left 7 million on the table. So we're like, we should be in technology. What are we doing here? So then, we spend a ton of money, ton of time, ton of effort trying to align with the right business partner in tech. We partnered with them 50-50, never could get really product market fit to where we liked it. And so like we tried all these different things, because, the multiple on technology would have been a good exit, right? So that might be a good exit. And then, we started our brokerage. We were partnering with agents around the country and a business model that we had learned years ago. And we were starting to implement. We crossed over into Atlanta, had a partner in Atlanta, and we're growing that there, and had probably 70 or 80 agents on the program. And we were just moving further down the value chain. We were providing an ISA. We were doing all the Facebook advertising in a geographic territory, building
and
that
how
one.
You get to eXp, right? Because you go from being a top agent, then to coaching, and it's difficult to score, scale coaching unless you have a model like it's very low a price, barrier to entry, right? We have $100 price and it's volume, right? But after that, okay, how do you discover eXp and where do you see the value on the model?
Right. So
by the way, I should have started with this just to give you an idea, all right? Because Jay is very transparent. It's over $130,000 a month in residual passive income. Am I right with that, Jay?
That was this month. Yeah, that's not my best. That's not my best month, but that's what it was so far this month.
In real estate, right? As an agent, as a top
agent. Not net. No, not net. I don't have any. When I say I don't have any expenses. Especially the last 90 days, because there hasn't been any travel, but it's mainly travel and, where I'm coming into markets and helping agents or doing whatever it is I want to do really. But, it's
$130,000 a month. What's been your best month?
142 or 145. I think it was the top month. And it's usually, in all honesty,
it's take you to get there.
Well, this is I'm not even in it 3 years. So, and I will say this, completely transparent. Like I focused on this from the get-go. So I was fortunate enough when I joined to not be trying to cover a gap, gap of, hey, this is what my $50,000 a month salary, and I got to make that here before I can focus on, I got to transition or whatever. Right. And so I didn't have to do that. And so I went all in, and that was, and I say I went all in. I was kind of halfway in because, I kind of believed it was going to work, but I didn't know for sure if it was going to work. So I was kind of halfway in, and I remember I was doing coaching. I was doing coaching calls to help build the business on the coaching side, because that was the business unit. I had the brokerage, and we split up all of our businesses because we had like 5. business units, and we couldn't really see which ones were making the most money and which ones were just borrowing resources from the other ones. And so we split them all up. He asked me, fortunately for me, Mike asked me, which ones do you want? I said, well, give me the brokerage and the coaching, and I can make those two make us some money. And so I took those two business units, and ultimately within, the first 3 or 4 months, I joined eXp almost right out of the gate. And the reason we joined was one of my buddies, Al Stasic. We had helped him build his team to like 300 agents and 300 transactions a year, not 300 agents, 300 transactions a year. And he probably had 15 agents, something like that. And he's like, man, I think I'm doing a move over to eXp. And I looked at the model. I pretty well understood it. But I didn't really truly see it, right? Like I didn't see the opportunity as for what the opportunity was. And so, I looked at it again, and man, I was like, I remember it was my son's 4th birthday, and I was pacing the outside behind the house. And people were supposed to be showing up to the house, and I had all these honeydews I was supposed to do. And me and Al were just talking about this business model, and I'm like, he's going to go. And I'm like, and if I'm being truthful, if I'm being honest about what we were building, we had a vision. I mean, we knew what we were doing, and we were doing it. It was scalable. We could have gone and raised money and done it, and it would have, but I was thinking about what my next 10 years was going to look like. If I continued on that path, I knew what my next 10 years looked like. And there's, then I started doing studies. Well, what is the real estate?
That it's so important, right? Even if you're
right.
doing well, it's always to look for, especially for those top agents and brokers. Okay, yeah, I'm doing well, but how my business looks like 5, 7, 10 years from now? Am I going to stay?
That's it. Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, Ajay, you mentioned 3 things. Exit strategy.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Residual income and freedom of time.
Yeah, you got anybody who's listening to this right now, and you think you're killing it, and that you got to do. And I had to do this too. It was hard. You got to take your ego, and you got to put your ego aside, and you got to be open-minded. I mean, it's not easy. Okay, like we went from having 40 employees, fastest growing company. Our shit was working, all right? Like there was no question what we were doing was it was never been done before at the level we were doing it. And so, but it wasn't easy, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't easy, I'll say that, but it was working. And we felt like we were adding so much value to the agent that we would partner with it that we didn't want to give up on that, right? And just looking at the models, like, well, we had a vision of 2,000 partners by December 27th, 2024. That was our 10-year vision. And we laid it out. That was on our, more than that, 3,500 plus. Really, with me and Mike, it's over 4,000 now. But I mean, so we basically doubled that in 3 years, in which that was a 10-year vision. And it would have been, and we went from having to deliver on a promise, meaning we're going to give you this, we're going to do that. We'd had a call center with 2,000 agents, 2,000 people in the call. Like, in order to deliver on that vision was massive, massive capital investment, zero capital investment in building eXp. We just add value. Yeah. In this model, the eXp, I have zero overhead. I have zero expense. And the building of it
for you, literally.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That drops into my bank account. Right. And so on the 21st of every month, there's a little, around the country, the eXp agents do this thing called the rev share dance. And it's that the money drops into your account and you're like, yeah, today's rev share day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just incredible. And, and the thing is that this is one of the, like, this would not have worked if they didn't do some of the things right in the business model. One of the things that they did really right was they built the back end, this eXp enterprise, and it's in real time moving. So when a deal closes, somebody closes a deal, boom, your revenue share goes up. So like you can see your effort. Like it's not immediate, like, you push and then you see, money drop into the account, but it's like that, right? Like you're seeing the efforts of, hey, a new agent's on, oh shoot, somebody sold a house and they brought up somebody and they sold a house. And you're seeing these transactions are happening in real time every day. I check it 100 times a day and it's going up all the time. Like it might go up 7 or 10 grand in one day. Yeah. And it's just from agents selling houses.
And you're in Texas.
Yeah.
Right?
Now I am, yep.
In 3 years, you have over 3,500 under you.
Oh, good.
Where are they in the country?
Yeah. Well, let me give y'all something that's even better. So the real question is, like, how did you get to that number, right? And so like, right. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. I have recruited a total of I think it's 72 agents, no, 74 agents in almost 3 years. Do the math on that. How many of that is a month, right?
Agents. Daniel, we didn't know
That's
this,
it.
Daniel. 74 agents in 3 years. Okay.
Right. That's it. So 74, and 8 of them, or maybe 9 of those, are husband-wife teams. So it's really more like 63, right? Because husband-wife team was one person.
Okay.
So that, and then those people told people who told people who told people who told people who told people. And that's how we got to 3,500 or 4,000 if you got. So Mike's underneath me. He's my business partner. So we grab a level under him, and it's got, more than 500. I think it's got 600 on it. So we're probably like 4,100 total between the two of us. But my bucket, I'm just talking like, and I talk in context of what I can see in my bucket, and that's where we're at. So pretty amazing that, it's like 2 a month. If you hired me as a recruiter, I probably would have got fired, right? I'm not a great recruiter, right? That's that and I'll tell you this, I haven't made an outbound call. I've messaged a handful of people that I know, and I see them, they're following me on Instagram or whatever. And I'll, hey man, what's going on? How you doing? How's your business? A little bit of that, but I didn't just pick up the phone and start dialing people. I mean, this has been primarily what they call it. It's agent attraction. So we continue to share the story. Yeah.
Without you making the constant effort, and again, because we've spoken to some brokers, right? And they can fathom, it just doesn't register, right? How can you have, listen, I've been in this business as a broker for so many years, and I'm still at 80, 150 agents year after year after year. What you're saying, Jay, it's just not possible. I mean,
it's not possible in your model. I would say that you're right. In your model, it isn't possible. And that's, and the thing that you that's why you got to be open-minded is what you can't, like, if I tried to tell you, if I told you this, and I like anybody that's listening to try to guess what the math would be on this. If I said, I'm growing at 6%, I'm growing at 6% a month.
Agent
and I
count.
have 30 agent count. My agent count is growing at 6% a month. Guess in 12 months how many agents I would have. I guarantee you most people are going to guess that wrong, right? Because our brains don't know how to do compounding math, for a 12-month period, right? Right, exactly. It's exactly double. And that's been what my growth rate has been. It's a little bit lower than that the last 3 months. I'm being completely transparent. It's been about 3.5%.
Without you having to recruit people.
That's with COVID. Yeah, that's with COVID.
The key. Yeah,
right.
Without your efforts.
Right. And yeah, for sure. Right. And I went back and looked at, like, I felt like the first year, like we hit 1,000 agents, and I think only one person
in 1 year
ever done that before. And we only had 5,000 agents when I joined. So like that first 12 months, that was a big number for us at the time to hit. Right. And I was pretty happy. So I went back and looked at my schedule once, which is how every call I did, I was already, again, I was an executive. I was a CEO running a company with 50 employees. I was very meticulous about my time and how I invested it, and it was going to be on my time whenever I decided to do something. That's just how I was already. I already learned all those lessons. So I came in with, if you want to get in my calendar, you were calling me on my cell phone. It says it on every one of my, in every place on my app. It says, listen, you need to watch this video before you get on the phone with me, and you need to make sure you show up on time. Don't mess with my time. I'm not going to mess. I'm not going to waste your time. I did 20-minute increments. And I allow anybody could get in my calendar. Anybody that was in my group that had somebody they wanted me to talk to could get in my calendar. And I looked at it at the end of the year, and I had done 999 calls that year. And I was like, dang, 1,000 calls. And then I was like, I did 1,000 calls. And I did probably more than that, because the ones that weren't scheduled or whatever. But because I was on the phone, I felt like I was on the phone all the time. And then I did the math. I was like, that's like 3 calls a day. I think that's not real. I mean, I did 3 calls a day on average. Like, that's it pretty much, and they were all inbound. So, it was, I thought I didn't put in all this work or whatever. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my career. And today, I mean, I can do whatever I want to do. I opened up my calendar, and this is just me. Everybody's different.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Are you moving or not?
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, the math just, yeah, I'm a big fan of the Caribbean. So, we always travel to BVI, and the Virgin Islands is one of my favorite places. I've never been to Puerto Rico. Okay. There's some tremendous advantages to living in Puerto Rico. And so we're going there in the first August to look in Dorado and see if we can find a place that suits us for, with.
So for the top agents, the top brokers listening to this, having the luxury to just think about moving to another city, it just doesn't register. I just can't have too much invested in my little effort right here in my little area, in my little farm area, as an agent and as a broker, that I just can't move or think about anything else. By the way, what's
right?
my
Yeah, let me tell you why. Al. So when Al moved to eXp, the reason he had just lost his number one and number two agent.
That's the agent you were coaching, right? Coaching,
right? And this, so we coached. I mean, everybody that we coached, that we had a mastermind. It was real high end, $25,000 group. Everybody in the group was doing at least $1.5 million, and they all had teams, and we all had the same problem. Your best agent's about to leave you. You know, you got to create, and we were always trying to fix what was a broken model, which was, in a team model, your best agents do that 3 to 4 to 5 deals a month, but they're also doing the math because they've been with you 4 years, and now that business is coming back to them, and it's like it gets to a point when it's like 50-50 of business you gave them versus they did themselves, right. And that's when you lose them, right? And so
there is a retention problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share this with you. I don't know if you have it in your market. In our market, it's about a team leader, all right, can have agents up to about $60,000 to $62,000, no more than that. Once the agent reach the $62,000 level, they start thinking not only about the money. It's the,
for sure.
I don't want to keep building your brand. I want to build my own brand.
That's 100% right. And that's every broker's problem, right?
Every broker's problem. You are not going to have a top agent in your independent brokerage or as a team because they want to build the same team you built.
Right.
And that's the part that is broken. You can have a successful agent with you forever because they want to do the same thing you did. But
unless you're at eXp. Yeah, unless you're at eXp. Right. And that's really for an independent broker, that's really what the problem it solves is attracting talent and retention of talent.
And that's the last thing that I say to the agents, right? The top agents. The problem is that now you're surrounded by 20, 30, 50 people that don't even have you're surrounded by people that can motivate you or push you forward because they're not at your level. So you're surrounded by people that are all under your level. So you're the lion in the place, but there's not much for you to grow.
That's every top agent. Yep, they got it. They're looking for where's the net. Where do I? Because first of all, if you're a top agent in a brokerage and you're kind of the go-to, and you get your ego stroked a lot, so you're feeling pretty good about that. Being number one, that feels good. But you if you're hungry and you're trying to get to that next level, you're not going to find it in your environment there. That's what I learned, and so I would fly around the country, be a part of all these masterminds, this, that, and the other. And I'd paid a lot of money to do that. In fact, I got a stack. I got 2 stacks of room keys that are 1.5 foot tall of room keys from me flying around the country to learn how to build a business that I built. Right. And that is built into this model. And it's so hard for people to understand, like, collaboration, what's that? But this financial alignment, the fact that I can make what I'm making by helping other agents grow their business has opened the doors for me to do free events instead of $25,000 a year events, and to coach, to provide all the coaching and training that we've ever done for free because I don't have any incentive to try to charge you. My incentive is to help you be successful.
By the way, if they become bigger agents than you, the top agent, I win too. You win more.
Right. I mean, it's beautiful, right? Like everyone wins together at eXp. It's like, Warren Buffett. I went to one of the shareholders events with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and I remember it was back when Wells Fargo was getting a lot of heat because they had these fake accounts and stuff that they had that were being created by their staff and whatnot. And this dude asked the straight up question was like, anybody can ask a question. So some guy gets up, he's like, well, what bank are y'all going to move to now that Wells Fargo has got all this stuff that's happening with them and everything. And Warren was like super quick. He goes right to the principal. He's like, we're not gonna, he's eating it's funny because he's like 97 or whatever. And he's eating See's candy and drinking Coca-Cola, right? Businesses that he's invested in. But I mean, he's going to die on stage. Like, I don't know how this guy's still alive, but he's like, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's like, Wells Fargo's a great company. He's like, when I see an issue like this, he's like, tomorrow we're going to get a call tomorrow. One of our companies, one of the great companies we've invested in, they're going to do something stupid. I'm going to get a call tomorrow. He's like, I don't look for, I don't just look to jump next thing. Wells Fargo's a great company. They've been around 100 plus years. He's like, I'm going to look for, where was the misalignment and compensation that drove the bad behavior? And when he said that, I was like, dang. I mean, he broke it down right to the principle of financial alignment, right? Like the people were making fake accounts because the reward of having multiple accounts these trips and all this other stuff. So that was a misalignment, and there was a little misalignment that drove bad behavior, and that's what you want to fix. You want to have the right compensation alignment. If you have it too much incentivized, I remember like hiring an ISA. Like if I incentivized one thing over the other, I could incentivize appointments set, and then I would get a bunch of shitty appointments, right? Or I can incentivize listings taken, which they don't really impact the impact that, but the behavior that I want is a quality appointment, not just a bunch of appointments set, right? And so, go ahead.
And with that, I want to close, Jay, because what you just said, that phrase, which is financial alignment,
right?
Again, we don't have it under the traditional model, unfortunately. Again,
nope.
The agent that is growing is going to leave your brokerage or your team eventually, right? Under this model, understand that the more they make, the more you make. And that's the key. And that's why the company has gone from 466 agents to over 32,000 agents in 6 years. Never seen that growth before, right? And people go, oh, well, that's a recruiting company. No, wait a minute. It's a fourth in volume.
Or they all are.
Right?
Yeah.
By the way, that's another point. Well, I don't want to recruit. Listen, I haven't seen, show me an agent that is not recruiting for his team, and I'll show you an agent whose business is down, is going down.
Yeah.
Period.
100%. They're all, every business model is a recruiting model. They 100%.
I love that.
They're
100%.
right.
Okay,
right?
Jay, and talking about those challenges that the team leaders and broker has, the recruiting and retention, how can eXp or this model help you with that?
Yeah, so a couple of ways. If you're a team, or it's kind of different for an independent that has a different split structure or whatever. But the reality is that if you're at eXp, and let's say an agent, for an agent that's a top producing agent that's on your team, it's all about the value exchange. And if you got them on a 50% split or 60% split or whatever it is, and they've been with you 4 years, and they're starting to get referrals back from the people that you gave them in the beginning. But let's say that I remember my agents would come, Jay, I want to have a meeting today. I'm like, so another one about split, you know what I'm saying, man? I'm like, oh, I hate that meeting. And so I would have Kitchens pull up the numbers, and I'd be like, how many deals did we give them, and how many deals they do on their own? And I remember it was Sukabelka, and she had done, it was 50-50. I was like, shit, I'm a loser, because I have documented proof that she's doing enough work on her own that if she was 100%, she could do half the work and make the same money. And she did like the team and the benefits of the team, but I knew I was in trouble and I was going to have to do something, and I was going to eventually lose Sukabelka, which I did. She went to Remax. And so, that's the trade-off, is at some point they're going to be looking to move elsewhere. The difference is I'm going to make, it's still going to suck if you lose an agent closing 5 deals a month, but they're going to stay at eXp. Why? Because they're going to have accumulated stock. They're going to have some revenue share, and you're going to be willing to help them. And this is what I love about it, was it gave me a way to create a linear path for, listen, I'm going to help you build, be successful in real estate. Then I'm going to help you do this. Then I'm going to help you build a team. And ultimately I'm going to help you do exactly what I've done for myself. And you're going to build your own brand, and you're going to go out on your own, and I'm going to support you because I have a reason to do that. That one benefit allows you to attract talent that you otherwise would never have gotten, because they don't want to be with you. They want to be you. And so those people that I would have never been able to recruit, now I have a vision for them where I can help them get to where they want to get, and they can do it through me because they know that I can help them. And so that allows you to recruit better talent. It allows you to build a residual income off of people that they do leave you. If I go to Lawton, Oklahoma right now and go to the grocery store, I'm probably going to run into 2 agents that used to be on my team. There are other agents, other companies now, right? That doesn't happen at eXp. They get into that infrastructure, they stay, and now you have an incentive to help them build as many people as they want on their team. And it's not, it's not competition, it's co-opetition. We work together to be successful. And that's this whole abundance mindset of this entire company of people. And the best part is I get to be true business partners with people like you. Mm-hmm. We're in business together. That's how I treat it. I mean, we don't know each other, never met each other, but you guys are movers and shakers. I like being around people like you. And so I like being able to get together and feel like we're building something together and having stock in a company. Like when the stock goes up, man, we're all texting each other like, hey man, you see the stock today? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, he crushed the business model. And if you don't understand it, you gotta take a step back from your day-to-day grind and be like, I gotta learn it and understand what I'm saying no to if I'm going to say no to this, because you're ultimately going to see that everybody's going to move this direction to eXp. It's just too superior of a business model for you not to. It's a platform.
And with that,
what would you do different if you were to start again?
Yeah. So, I mean, you ask anybody at eXp, I don't care who it is. The number one answer to that's going to be, I wish I'd done it sooner. And I don't think I would have, because, and I know enough about companies that are, this was, I joined on their 9th year, right? So like they're a 10-year overnight success. Since then, they've gone from, crazy growth, right? But I don't think everybody was ready for Amazon when it came, when you bought your first book, and not everybody was ready for Netflix, when you tried to stream your first movie, right? So a lot of people don't really understand the true benefits of being in the cloud. It's so much faster, so much easier. I can get answers to a question without getting out of my chair, just like I can order on Amazon and not get out of my chair. It's way better communication and faster and information, and the amount of training, everything gets all there instant. And it's just, it's just better, right? Like once you see it, once you've done it, you're like, okay, I get it now. This is just way better than me driving into the office, trying to get through traffic to get to a physical office. And basically, just that's the only people that you're around is those people. And you're not around the 30,000 agents that are top agents from around the country that are sharing and teaching, coaching stuff in the cloud. So it's a totally different, better environment. But yeah, what would I, and I wouldn't have wanted to be a part of the first 5,000 agents, because there was probably challenges, right? Like they were trying to build this thing to scale. And so I think we came on like right about the right time where all the problems were solved. So like when you bring an agent on, they're happy. Like they're ecstatic when they join eXp. They're on boarded. It's easy. It's fast. And they're like, this is amazing. And they're going through things. And it probably wasn't like that forever, right? Like, I think before it was probably a little harder. Like onboarding was rough. Even when we joined, it was a little bit rough, for a little while until they got that fixed. But like we're hitting on all cylinders. They're pouring more into the company and everything else. So I don't think I would have done it sooner necessarily. I would have wanted to for the stock for sure. But I think we joined about the right time. So what would I have done? What I would have done is I would have taken more time to reach out to the people that I know in the industry. And because so many of them joined and didn't know that we had joined. Okay. And so, and that's what I would have, and I sat on a panel with other influencers, many of them doing more than I'm doing. And they all had the same thing. They wish that they would have taken more time to reach out to the people that they did know that they had, a relationship with or whatever. And, we didn't do that either as well as we should have. And that cost us, a lot of people that are in the company, which is fine. It's all still positive. I'm just glad they're with us, but we could have probably done a better job there. So that's where I would have probably focused on, is really making a list and making sure I reached out to the people that I felt like were, people that could help us build this company. And I want to say one thing. So, this is what a post that Glenn Sanford made years and years ago.
By the way, Glenn is the founder of the company.
Is the founder, right? Mm-hmm. Brilliant man. And he made a post. He said, and people don't understand the business model, right? When you don't have a region and that somebody paid $500,000 for to go build and sell franchises, to go recruit agents. That's the platform for the franchise platform that we know. And you go to the cloud, you don't have somebody who bought a $500,000 opportunity. You don't have franchises that are out there trying to recruit for their opportunity to have this office. And so the mechanism for growth shifted, right? And he said, well, we're going to make this opportunity so big that the right people are going to join us and help us build this company. And what he meant by that was he was going to allow agents to earn the revenue share off of other agents in the company, where in the past that money has gone to the franchisor and to the region. And, the royalties and all that you pay in goes, and they split that with the region, and that's a revenue share opportunity for that person. They paid $500,000 for. Right. We don't pay $500,000. Okay, we have the same opportunity that the people that came before us had to spend a lot of money to have, and it's way bigger because there's no boundaries. You can recruit anywhere in the country, in the world. And our goal. I know the goal for international is eight new countries in the next, by the end of this year, right? Like that's crazy to me, but that's the vision. So how big is this opportunity? Way bigger than any opportunity I've ever seen. And we're just at the beginning. Like we're still at the very, very early stages. And so, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, for you to be able to build and create some wealth for yourself. If you've been doing this for a while and you know some people in the industry, you'd be crazy not to be at eXp. The math is going to be the math. The math is going to work out. I can tell you the math's going to work out. If you're anybody at all that's producing, you get paid to be at eXp. Okay. Just know that that's going to be the case. Okay. So that's it, the math is the math. And that's why, as a brokerage that was independent, I couldn't even get my head around joining another brokerage. Why would I do that? I'm not paying anybody anything. Right. Because I felt like we could do what we were doing and we didn't need anybody. Right. but I've never had the opportunity to make the money I'm making. And even my own business model that I would have built, even if I try to copy this, you know what I'm saying, I never would have probably got there. Right. And it'd be crazy to do it. So like, you know, this is a bigger opportunity than I could have created for myself. And that was when I realized if I sell this, if I did build what I said I was going to build, it's worth 1.5 times EBITDA. Right. So I'm getting paid, and then they're going to ask me to stay on for 2 years. Okay. These are the numbers. If you really be honest with yourself. Right. And so like, we're going to spend 10 years building something to sell it for basically 2 years worth of profits. We're going to have to stay in the company and do it anyways. We're going to buy us with their own money, or we could go get on this platform, help add value to this business model and help people come join this company. And we have this, you know, the compound effect of residual income, which I've never seen in any business model that you can't beat.
That level, $130,000 a month in your case within 3 years.
Yeah. Within 3 years, yeah. And that's a fraction of what's possible. It's a fraction of what's possible. Right. And it's regardless of what happens, I know the growth rate. And so I know where it's headed. The book's already been written. I know the amount of money that I'm making. It's going to be silly, and it already is silly, but that's what you can't, if you could do a fraction of that, it would be better for you. Right. Like it's life changing. It really is. And for a lot of people.
The key for you guys, we are all in the real estate industry. You need to pay attention for your own sake, for your business, and more important, for your family. You don't have to believe it. Look at the numbers: 4th in volume, 3rd in closed sales, largest, faster growth in history in 6 years, from 466 agents to over 32,000. And you see the result from people like Jay, 130. Listen, Jay is one of the top earners, but you see agents within a year making $3,000-$4,000, which is life changing for most agents. So I'm not saying do it. What I'm saying is you need to study the model and pay attention, because most likely, and I know that, you are missing an opportunity that you wouldn't if you pay attention to the numbers. Yeah,
that's right.
Thank you very much for joining us this time today. It's been a true pleasure and honor to speak to you. I can't wait to meet you in person in one of those panels and bombard you with new questions. We have to do this again.
You got it, man. Absolutely.
Thank you for taking the time.
You got it, guys.
One more thing. I think you have a great podcast. All right. How can people find you so they can keep listening to you?
Yeah. So if you want to, here we do a lot of interviews with people that join and let them tell their stories and why they joined and what the benefits have been and stuff like that. You can go to jkinder.com. And there's several videos there. You just scroll through and watch some of that, or my YouTube channel is jkinder82, I think, or find me on Instagram. So excellent. Happy to help and appreciate you guys having me on the show. You guys are killing it, and just a pleasure to be in business with you guys.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Yeah. See ya.